Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, gentlemen. It's good to have you join us. On the subject of Sunday sales, if we could for just a moment, as a matter of statutory authority granted by the General Assembly, we did set that number at 25%. 605 stores. The number I had was 160 that are open. I think it's hard to hear over here, but I think I just heard 165. At 160, you're at 26.4%. Whatever else is true, you've walked through our statutory grant of authority. Could you comment to that?
We don't have 165 open. I said, my math quickly in my head did 165, but it's 160, it's 160.
Well, at 160, you're at 26.4%, that's what I'm saying.
We had alerted the governor's office, and I think we alerted Mr. Taylor and others. At one point in time, we realized that we were closing stores. We had 640 outlets, okay? And as we continued to roll out larger stores, sometimes dropping stores as we went, we're down to 605 stores properly managed. We realized that we were approaching that percentage, and we told them that this was becoming an issue and a problem. So you're correct that we could be exceeding it. We did advise them of that, and I think it's close. If that is an issue, I suppose we could, I don't know exactly, Joe, do you know where we stand exactly on a percentage basis?
We're a few stores more than we should be because of the closures, and if it's the will of the General Assembly that we close a few, we would do that.
I'm not saying that's a good policy or a bad one. I'm just saying we did set that threshold, and so enough said. You know, as I'm struck by the dilemma of all of this as we're having this discussion, you are receiving some encouragement and pressure from members of this committee to modernize, to react to market forces. Certainly consumers push you in that direction. And in the middle of that, we have a system, one of only two in the nation, that is a state monopoly system that exists because of the word control. And as control starts to break down in the push for marketing and ever greater volumes, quality, accessibility, all of these things, the consumers that they want, the control aspect starts to fade away, and the logic of maintaining a state system breaks down. So I will invite you to comment on how you're balancing these two concepts and thereby reestablish the justification for the system, if you could.
Well, that's an interesting question, Representative, and probably you'll get two different answers at this table with it. If you listen to the Senate hearings yesterday, I explained very carefully the dilemma that the LCB is constantly in with regard to that. Initially, in 1933, not to create a long answer, Bill, but initially in 1933, it was all about control. And as I grew up in the city of Philadelphia, we all remember the counter stores and what control was. It is now turned into a retail establishment. And there's always a dilemma, as I've been watching this over the last few years, even before I was nominated by the governor, as you watch these hearings, as to how you teach people responsible drinking through what I call the control process and whatnot, and yet you still answer the questions as to how much money can you make us in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So that's something that's decided by the legislature, not by the LCB. By the same token, there has always been a continued pressure to increase revenue to the state. So I will say it this way. I think you can modernize as you debate privatization or as you discuss privatization. Issues such as direct shipping and Sunday sales and variable pricing are easy as you discuss those issues, because if you want to see more revenues, you will get that. But you can debate that in this chamber, not in our building. We do what we're asked to do. By the same token, some of our money, $21 million of it, goes to the state police for LCB enforcement. Another $5 to $6 million goes in education, alcohol education. Last weekend, the LCB shut down its stores in State College with the State Patty Day weekend to show that we can control the sale of alcohol when we think that it's going to affect the youth of the Commonwealth in an adverse way. So we understand our responsibility to the Commonwealth citizens and to this legislature when it comes to the control of the sale and the distribution of alcohol. By the same token, we know what has been given our charge, and that is tell us how much money you make each year, because every June we're going to ask you for it. Does that answer your question?
It certainly is a balancing act. You're absolutely correct. It's not easy, but we're one of the few states, there's 18 control states in certain ways. We're all called upon to try to regulate, but yet produce income. And, that opportunity is one that we should actually appreciate, because once it's gone, you never get it back. The Center for Disease Control clearly has stated just recently that if you have not privatized, don't do it. We're not, as a board, taking a position on that. We come to work, as Skip said, every day. We just try to do the best job we can. We have tried to stay neutral on the issue. We are a resource to you for information. And I would just reiterate that that is a legitimate discussion that we hope you get into in minute detail in the legislature, and that everyone becomes informed with the facts, the real facts, so that they can make this a decision relative to the future.
I appreciate those comments, and I will say it is certainly a debate that we will have here in the committees and the Assembly, but I would also suggest, and I think you would agree, that it is a managerial challenge for your team as well, that not only do we market and promote, but part of the value of the system we have is the control aspect that happens at the store level and at the register all across the state.
That is true, and the licensing aspect with licensees, whether it would be licensees to sell retail or licensees, as we do now with bars and restaurants, is a way that we control as well.
Very good.
Come to the board meeting tomorrow and you'll see some licenses being affected that way.